Hare Krishna, everybody. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
I would go ahead, Prabhu. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chikshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swampadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Uta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sandhabhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we'll let Atul Prabhu join. He's new to join today. Atul Prabhu, can you please connect your audio? Are you able to hear us? Atul Prabhu, can you please connect your audio? Are you able to hear us, Atul Prabhu? Okay, he's disconnected again. Okay, so thank you all for coming. So we will cover Canto 3, Chapter 1 from verses 26 to 45. And we'll finish this very important and a very heavy chapter 1 of this Canto 3. Plus, just because the devotees from batch 3 will be going back to their Bhagavad Gita study from next week. So out of sequence, I will also cover 2 verses from Canto 3, Chapter 4, verse number 25 and 26, and we'll discuss the important points or why we'll discuss this out of context. Not out of context, but out of sequence. So normally we start with a recap and questions. We'll leave that for the end today. So first we'll focus on completing the chapter. There are again important points in our today's discussion also. And you all anyway were supposed to revise the chapter and bring key points. So we'll discuss all those key points towards the end after we finish our discussion today. So last class, we discussed practical points on the proper mood to develop while visiting Holy Dham. We discussed that visiting Holy Dham is not for sightseeing. Rather, go to the Holy Dhams to meet pure devotees, serve pure devotees, hear from pure devotees, and learn from Vrajvasis the Vrajva's mood of being absorbed in Krishna and Krishna's service 24 hours. Vidura traveled to holy places, and finally Vidura meets Uddhava, and Vidura makes inquiries about the well-being of all, starting from Krishna and Balaram. Uddhava is a constant companion of Lord Shri Krishna. So while we'll discuss, and I'll point this even before we start reading the verses, that some devotees ask, why are you asking about the well-being even though all these personalities are devotees of the Lord? And devotees are always protected by the Lord, and they are always fine. So why are you asking about the well-being? The answer is because they are all devotees of the Lord. They are Bhagavad Praja. And devotees are always protected by the Lord. Hence, we should always inquire the well-being of the devotees who are under the shelter and protection of the Lord. And this is an etiquette being taught in this chapter, that these devotees are protected by the Lord, and still, and therefore, Vidura is still inquiring about the well-being of all these elevated devotees. So we'll start from verse number 26. And this is part 4 of this chapter. Verse number 26 to 42 is part 4. Title is Vidura's Inquiries from Uddhava about the welfare of the Yadus and Kurus. Is our dear Aditi available to read verse number 26, translation and purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, she isn't Prabhu. Can I go ahead, Prabhu?
Yeah, you or Kalyani, either way.
Yeah. Text number 26, translation. Please tell me whether the original personalities of Godhead who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who is born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased the propensity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Surasena. Purport. Lord Krishna and Balarama are not two different personalities of Godhead. God is one without a second, but he expands himself in many forms without being separate from one another. They are all plenary expansions. The immediate expansion of Lord Krishna is Baladeva, and Brahma, born from the lotus flower from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, is an expansion of Baladeva. This indicates that Krishna and Baladeva are not subjected to the regulations of the universe. On the contrary, the whole universe is under their subjugation. They appeared at the request of Brahma to liberate the burden of the world, and they relieved the world by many superhuman activities so that everyone became happy and prosperous. Without the grace of the Lord, no one can become happy and prosperous, because the happiness of the family of the Lord's devotees depends on the happiness of the Lord. Vidura first of all inquired about the well-being of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Vidura is asking the well-being of Krishna and Balram. Krishna and Balram, by killing the demons, they gave opportunity to all citizens to celebrate festivals and attain peace. Even though Krishna is always well, still Vidura is asking, why? So Krishna cannot be at any time unwell. Therefore, read the word's translation as to what is Vidura asking. Vidura is asking, is he well in the house of Suryasen? So Vidura has asked the inquiry slightly differently, because he knows Krishna can be at no time unwell. Therefore, he is saying, is he well in the house of Suryasen? And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that we just read, we can see that it is clearly explained that the prosperity and happiness of the devotees is because of the Lord, always giving his devotees opportunities to remain prosperous. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. The next few verses, verses 27 to 35, Vidura is asking the well-beings of Yadus. So they are pretty straightforward verses, so we'll just read the translations. and we will discuss one particular verse from these set of verses on an important point Prabhupada is making in the purport. Nitya, if you want to read verse 27 to 35 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Text 27. Please tell me whether the best friend of the Kurus, our brother-in-law Vasudeva, is doing well. He is very munificent. He is like a father to his sisters, and he is always pleasing to his wife. Text 28. O Uddhava, please tell me how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was the puppet in a former life. Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna by the grace of Brahmanas whom she pleased. Text 29. O my friend, whether Ugrasena, the king of the Sattvas, Rishis, Bhojas, and Dasharas, is now doing well. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes of his royal throne, but Lord Krishna again installed him. Text 30. O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva, and now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Lord Krishna. Text 31. O Uddhava, does Yuyu Dana fare well? He has learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjuna and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for the great renouncers. Text 32. Please tell me whether Akrutra, the son of Swapalka, is doing well. He is a faultless soul surrendered unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of the transcendental love and fell down on the dust of a road which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna. Text 33. As the Vedas are the reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of the king Devaka Bhoja conceived the supreme personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. Is she, Devaki, doing well? Text 34. May I inquire whether Aniruddha is doing well? He is the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees and has been considered from yore to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind, and the fourth planetary expansion of Vishnu. Text 35. O sober one, others such as Hritika, Karudasna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation, are they well? Hare Krishna.
Very good. So in all these verses, as you read through the purport, so whenever Vidura is inquiring about a particular personality, Vidura is also briefly speaking about them, meaning Vidura is glorifying their qualities because they are all devotees of the Lord. Subro Prabhu will read verse number 32 purport. It's a pretty heavy purport and a very important point. Prabhupada is explaining. I have undivided attention. I'll be asking you a question on this and we'll discuss practical aspects on this. Prabhupada in the purport has very carefully worded the point about antiseptic, and we'll discuss practical aspects on this. Subro Prabhu, verse number 32 purport.
Text 32 purport. When Akrura came to Vrindavana in search of Krishna, he saw the footprints of the Lord on the dust of Nandagrama and at once fell on them in ecstasy of transcendental love. This ecstasy is possible for a devotee who is fully absorbed in incessant thoughts of Krishna. Such a pure devotee of the Lord is naturally faultless because he is always associated with the supremely pure personality of Godhead. Constant thought of the Lord is the antiseptic method for keeping oneself free from the infectious contamination of the material qualities. The pure devotee of the Lord is always in company with the Lord by thinking of him. Yet, in the particular context of time and place, the transcendental emotions take a different turn, and this breaks the mental equilibrium of the devotee. Lord Chaitanya displayed the typical example of transcendental ecstasy, as we can understand from the life of this incarnation of God. Hare Krishna.
So this line, constant thought of the Lord is the antiseptic method for keeping oneself free from the infectious contamination of material qualities. So let's discuss this as a very important point. The question that I have for you all is, under what circumstances can you apply this antiseptic to stop the growth of material microorganisms? Somebody wants to try? So I will further add,
Prabhuji,
little clarification that antiseptic prevent growth of disease and infection will not be there anymore. So the question is, under what circumstances can you take this antiseptic to make yourself free from disease? Okay, Uncle?
Prabhuji, the whole world, every day, we are exposed to materialistic energy of deviation of wrong things, rarely right things. We don't get pure people. And in such a situation, when you get disappointment, anger, and ego, all these things, if you have to go into good mode, you have got to chant the Tirthakirti, the Lord, where you are invoking the personal presence of the Lord to save you from such. And it is a diversion, and you will find the effect of it. This is my realization.
Okay. Shalini and Gopal Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I just feel that, the antiseptic is like all the time thinking about Krishna Prabhu. I don't think there's any particular point when you have to apply the antiseptic to keep free.
Okay.
So it has all the time.
It has to be a complete surrender to Krishna, and then keep engaged in the service and keep chanting. Most important is keep chanting, because I have seen experience myself. The chanting really has helped me overcome a lot of materiality. I'm not saying I'm 100% out of materialism, but a lot of materialism I could come over.
Okay. And Remya says to apply the antiseptic under infection by Maya. So Remya has the doctrine filter that when you are infectious, that's by Maya, that's when you apply. Okay, very good. Yeah, Mother Chandanti.
Even I feel, Prabhuji, all the time if you are think of Krishna, that itself is an antiseptic.
Okay.
I feel nothing will come to us, but
Okay.
with the belief.
Okay, very good point. Couple of you answered it perfectly, and let me explain. So in the material world, when we come across different situations, or when we are living in congregation among devotees, we meet a junior devotee, but this junior devotee behaves like he's your boss. This is the time you apply this process of antiseptic. So this is an example I'm using. And I'll come to the question, when can you apply this antiseptic point? That when you are in constant thought of Krishna, but this devotee who is under me, who's junior, I am trying to give him all facility to grow in Krishna consciousness. How is he behaving? That I am feeling insulted that he thinks he is my boss. These feelings come under certain circumstances, certain conditioning. But if you are in constant thought of Krishna, then the antiseptic will work. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada has framed and worded this antiseptic point very, very appropriately in the purport, the line that I read, and we'll read that again. So when situations happen, the first is the thought process. This is where it starts. So if you recall the chart that we had populated for 2.62 and 63, that thinking is where everything starts. That what thought will come to you. So to change this, you have to realize that he is a devotee, this junior devotee, and he has services. I also have my services. If the junior is trying to surpass me, that is between him and Krishna. I am only supposed to be focused on my service. I continue to provide the facility to everybody so that they can grow in Krishna consciousness, because this is what I am supposed to do as my service, as an aspiring devotee of Lord Krishna. And on the other hand, if I see faults in this devotee, or if I talk in such a way that he will feel hurt, but I'm not supposed to do this, because if I hurt someone, and specifically if this person is a devotee, then I'm committing an offense. So I have to focus on my service. And this is how you have to practice the Vaishnava principle. The principle to practice is the constant thought of the Lord. That is the antiseptic process. And this is how you remain immune from the disease of this material world. And I will explain the COVID example, which is very relevant to understand this antiseptic principle. So the last point that I made, that you focus on your service, and this is the principle of practice that is for you to do, of the constant thought of the Lord, for the antiseptic process to work, so that you remain immune from the disease of the material world. And if you recall, from the start of our Bhagavad Gita study, I have been repeating that Bhagavad Gita and other scriptural study is for my own self. Apply Bhagavad Gita for yourself. Don't apply Bhagavad Gita to others if I cannot follow Bhagavad Gita by myself. That means at every step, when you meet someone where you are getting agitated, even if it is a provocating situation, how to avoid provocation? It is possible when you are in constant thought of Krishna. Constant thought of Krishna means constant thought of the instructions of the Lord. Means how to maintain your position as a Vaishnava. That is the antiseptic process. And Gopal Krishna Prabhu brought his personal point very appropriately, very relevant here, that how chanting has helped to overcome certain situations. Now, let me explain the practical aspect about the COVID and relate this with the antiseptic point. So when you, under any circumstances, when you feel that your spiritual life is at threat, meaning you have some complications, some conflict, and the example during COVID was that about taking precautions. What was everyone doing when COVID was spreading very rampantly? Everyone was sanitizing their hands, putting on masks. Why? Because they were always taking these precautionary measures because they were thinking that I may have been exposed to the virus somehow or the other. Similarly, you all are always thinking how to deal with this situation so that I may not fall down. We have to think that I am not important. I am only a servant. Whatever is happening, it is Krishna doing everything. We should accept this fact. This world is a crazy place. People will act according to their nature. And you cannot change their swabhava, you cannot change their nature. And if they are devotees and such devotees feeling hurt from my dealings with them, then actually I am in trouble. Therefore, better to look at my situation, how I can protect myself, how to not get impacted. And in the purport we read, the last line, so this antiseptic. So this was one point of being in constant thought of the Lord. Just as the COVID example, everybody was taking precaution. Not that you have to take antiseptic after you become sick. No, you have to be in constant thought before so that you don't get contaminated at all. Therefore, I started with the question, how do you apply the antiseptic to stop the growth of material microorganism? Don't worry about applying antiseptic after you get already contaminated. Well, you can still apply, but try to be in constant thought of the Lord before, constantly 24 hours, so that there is no scope for the growth of this material contamination. And the last line in the purport also says that Akrura fell on the ground to take the dust simply by seeing the impressions of the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is the second process of the antiseptic process, that you take the dust of the devotees and apply on your head. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations.
Prabhu, just a humble realization again, as you've taught to us in many of the classes, that give your mind a safe, place, always filled with thoughts of the Lord, reading scriptures, devotee association, everything in Krishna consciousness. Give your mind a safe space. And then also goes to say prevention is better than cure. So I think constantly being prepared, with the thoughts of Lord Krishna, it helps prevent the material contamination.
Yeah, very good realization. Give your mind a safe playing space of Krishna conscious activities, meaning make a hill in your mind of Krishna conscious activities. Then there is very little room left for your mind to deviate. Very good. Rest of you. Everybody on the same page? Silence.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So there are a couple of heavy points in these verses and the purports. And I won't go into detail right now because this may seem like some new philosophy. I'm pretty sure many of you must have heard this or will hear this for the first time, and it will seem difficult to digest. So I will only briefly explain, which is there in the purport, that Kartikeya is born as son of Krishna as Samba, but we know that Kartikeya is son of Lord Shiva and Sati. So how do you explain this? So Acharyas have explained, specifically Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that actually in Samba is son of Krishna. This son of Krishna and there are many personalities like this, has two souls in the body, meaning one is the Samba as it is, and then Kartikeya, who's a demigod, is also in the body of Samba. Similarly, all this applies to many other personalities, such as Kamadev, who's a demigod, and also simultaneously entered in the body of Pradyumna. Pradyumna is also son of Krishna. And similarly, Vasu also entered in Uddhava's body. So all these personalities have two souls. And more specifically, we'll come to Pandavas. So many places you will read that Pandavas went to heaven. And we have read in Canto 1, chapter 15, I think, where Pandavas retire timely. I mean, I may not be accurate on the chapter number, but the chapter where Pandavas retire on timely, it explains that Pandava went back to Goloka Vrindavan. Now it may seem contradictory. So what this explains is that within Pandavas also, there were two personalities. One was demigods, and the others were Pandavas themselves, meaning the soul of Pandavas. So when it says in Mahabharata that Pandavas went back to heaven, it is the demigod within the Pandavas' body that went to heaven, went back to heaven because they are demigods. And then where it says in Bhagavatam that Pandavas went back to Goloka Vrindavan, so that is the Pandavas themselves, the pure devotees, they went back to Goloka Vrindavan. So this seems like some new philosophy. And if you hear this for the first time, it may seem very difficult to digest. So I won't get into detail, but for me also it was difficult to digest, but that's what Acharyas have explained. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Radha
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
this narrative which you explained now, how does it feature here? I am not able to.
It's explained in the purports. That's why I described that that when you read the purports, and it may seem that how do I explain this to somebody else? And that's why I explained. And even though it is very difficult for anyone to digest this philosophy, and if somebody is not able to digest, I can explain with a simple example. So we know in the material world that ghosts occupy some other individual's body. So what exactly is a ghost? Ghost is that somebody, say, commits a suicide, and say he has a lifespan written for 80 years, and he commits a suicide, say, when he was of age 50. So he still has 30 years left before he gets his next body. So for this 30 years, he lives as a ghost, but he still has desires, but no body to fulfill his desires. Therefore, ghosts come and occupy others' body, specifically those in ignorance who try to worship ghosts. So the ghost may satisfy some of the desires and simultaneously also take up the body of this individual who is in ignorance. So it is possible. So this is the way you explain that it is possible that the person in ignorance already has a soul, and now the ghost is a second individual occupying in the same body. And that's the way to explain. But again, this is a very heavy concept, and don't explain to newcomers. It is for somebody who has been in Krishna consciousness for a certain amount of time. For them, it may be somewhat easier to digest, even though I didn't say easy to digest. I say somewhat easier to digest. Does that help you?
It is a brilliant example. Complex things into simple.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhu, just a question. I know we have not been in the class with the Canto 1 creation. So just wanted to ask, all devotees, true devotees, go to Golaka Vrindavan. So the Pandavas reach Golaka Vrindavan. But the concept of the two souls, they were both demigods and Pandavas. So demigods reside in the higher planets. Is that why the distinction, the Pandavas went to Golaka Vrindavan versus they should have just gone to higher planets? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are correct. So you have multiple points here. So not all devotees go to Golaka Vrindavan. I have described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, the universal form, and other places also, that spiritual world there is Vaikuntha, and then spiritual world there is Golaka Vrindavan. Those who are in the mood of awe and reverence, pure devotees, they go to Vaikuntha planet. And pure devotees who are in the mood of love, they go to Golaka Vrindavan. So your other point about demigods in Pandava's body, yeah, because they are demigods and demigods reside in heaven, or there are other higher planets also where demigods reside. That's why the demigods went back to heaven, and Pandavas, the original pure devotee soul, they went back to Golaka Vrindavan. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu, I was able to understand. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Radha Shakti, if you want to read verse number 36 to 40 translations.
Sure, Prabhu.
And Vidura is just continuing to inquire.
Okay. Verse number 36. Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhishthir is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principles and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhan was burning with envy because Yudhishthir was being protected by the arms of Krishna and Arjuna as if they were his own arms. Number 37. Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of his club when he stepped on the path. Number 38. Please tell me whether Arjuna, whose bow bears the name Gandiva and who is always famous amongst the chariot warriors for vanquishing his enemies, is doing well. He once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with arrows, and when Shiva came as an unidentified false hunter. Number 39. Are the twin brothers who are protected by their brothers doing well? Just as the eye is always protected by the eyelid, they are protected by the sons of Pratha, who snatched back their rightful kingdom from the hands of their enemy. Duryodhan, just as the Garuda snatched nectar from the mouth of Indra, the thunderbolt carrier. Number 40. O my lord, is Pratha still living? She lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without King Pandu, who was the greatest commander and who alone conquered the four directions simply with the help of his second bow.
Okay. So verse number 40 is about Kunti Maharani. So back then, Sati Pratha was prevalent, and Sati Pratha requires the wife to follow the husband's pyre. So question is, because Kunti did not follow the husband's pyre, was Kunti enjoying the world? The answer is, Kunti's quality is only about doing her duty, just to protect the children, because this was the desire of her husband Pandu Maharaj. Hence, Kunti did not enter the husband's funeral pyre. And to further explain this point, after the Kurukshetra war, Kunti said to Yudhishthir Maharaj, let me go to the forest now. And Yudhishthir was surprised, saying, what? Now, after we have gone through so much distress, and now it is actually good time. And you want to go to forest? Why? And Kunti said, Kunti had asked to fight not because of Kunti's desire to be called as Rajmata. Rajmata means the queen, queen mother. Kunti said that Kunti's duty is done. Hence, Kunti wants to go to forest. So this is again a very, very, very important point that between Kunti and Madri, Madri is the second wife of Pandu. Madri was the reason why Pandu could not control himself, and because of which the curse got manifested, and the curse of the Brahmana on Pandu, that whenever Pandu will try to mate with his wife or with anybody, he will leave his body. So this was one reason that Madri, the second wife, was the reason why Pandu left the body. Plus Madri actually also said an important point to Kunti Maharani. So Kunti had the three sons, the first three sons of Yudhishthir, Arjun and Bhima, and Nakul and Sahadev were sons of Madri, even though Kunti used her boon by putting Madri in front. So Madri said that Madri does not have the neutral quality like Kunti. Kunti will be able to take care of Madri's two sons exactly like Kunti taking care of her own sons. And therefore, Madri said Kunti should live and Madri will leave the body. Again, very important point that Kunti Maharani did not live for enjoyment. After the war was finished, she actually said, my duty is done. Now, please let me go to the forest. And she actually went to the forest. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Since you asked us in the last session to go through the remaining chapter in chapter text, so when I was going through chapter 31, text 31 in chapter 1, I had little confusion, so I thought I will seek a clarification before you proceed further.
Yeah.
One I learned, realized about the internal energy of the Lord. Second is external energy. There, the third is mentioned as, I don't know how to pronounce it, HLADI.
Ladini, yeah, Ladini Shakti, yeah.
Yeah, it says it is eternally a bliss of his own potency.
Yeah.
Could you please, if you have time, to elaborate on that, and I may able to differentiate all the three.
Yeah, very good. So there are these three internal potencies: Ladini, Samvit, and Sandhini. So just as we have the three modes of material nature, similarly, these three are the modes of spiritual nature. Ladini refers to the enjoying potency, meaning whatever the Lord wants to enjoy, it is through the Ladini Shakti or the Ladini energy, meaning the internal energy has this Ladini component, just as we as the modes of material nature have mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Similarly, the internal potency has these three energies, sub-energies: Ladini, Samvit, and Sandhini. So Ladini is the pleasure-giving potency that gives pleasure to Krishna. Samvit potency is his knowledge potency, and Sandhini is his existential potency. Does that explain you in brief?
Thank you.
Okay. We'll continue with verse number 41. Shalini, if you want to read verse number 41 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 41. O gentle one, I simply lament for him, Dhritarashtra, who rebelled against his brother after death. By him I was driven out of my house, although I am his sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his own sons. Hare Krishna.
So you will notice a difference in what Vidura is talking about Dhritarashtra versus rest of the devotees. Lord. So Vidura is feeling sorry for Dhritarashtra. And this is actually the sign of Mahatma. The sign of Mahatma is that Mahatma is always compassionate to ordinary people. And because there was no chance of Dhritarashtra's well-being, hence Vidura did not ask for well-being of Dhritarashtra. In all the other words, he is asking for well-being of everyone. But for Dhritarashtra, he is not asking for well-being because there was no chance. So, any reflection for you all that the Vaisnava desires all good for all enemies. How devotees are able to practice this quality to be good for those who are acting like enemies. We have discussed this in our previous sessions also. Some heavy discussion on this. Anybody has any reflections on this? That how Vidura, a Vaishnava, is still having compassionate to Dhritarashtra. Anybody?
Babaji, I'm sad, but still I'll narrate for the benefit of other devotees. My eldest brother, I am the second son, eldest brother saved me from drowning as early as 1955 when I was only 14 years in Kaveri River. I was in the process of learning swimming and he saved me from drowning. He swam nearly 100 yards and came and saved me. But for him, I am not alive today. But due to some trivial matter in a marriage contribution for sisters, he was very upset and he is not in talking terms. I met him about 3 years back, but I always felt grateful to him. When I asked him, how are you feeling? And he was asking, who is this person? Like that. Though it hurts, but still I am asking about him. This is my personal experience.
Okay, very good. So you apply your Vaishnava principle and follow your Vaishnava principle. That is what you are doing. So very good. Very good. Anybody else? And then I will explain. Okay. So the answer is about this, or well, when I say answer, meaning the discussion about this point, is that we have discussed at great length in our previous classes to see how Yogamaya is helping you. So I'll explain my practical situation and I will seek advice from you all in here about what we have discussed before and what I'm explaining here, that we have to see how Yogamaya is helping you. Look at my own fault rather than others. Look at good quality in others and recognize that actually it is something I have done in the past and it is just coming back to me. So all these points we have learned and discussed from the reaction of Dharma or the bull from Canto 1, chapter 17 and 18, where Parikshit Maharaj asked, please tell me who is the perpetrator. And the bull did not identify the perpetrator, even though the personality of Kali who had heard the bull was standing right in front of them. In such situation, Acharyas have said that Vaishnava thinks that Lord wants me to be humble. So this is the first point, that use the situation for your own humility, for breaking your own false ego. And second, the Lord is actually giving me an opportunity through this happening so that I can grow closer to the Lord, increase the attachment to Him, and He is helping me fix my memory on Him. This is the Vaisnava thinking. Not that karmic reaction is happening, okay, that's going to take place. No, we don't have to worry about that. The devotee's karma is already taken care of, but we have to apply how Yogmaya helps under the circumstances. So I'm going to describe my particular situation. So I already described this before, and I will describe it again, and I will ask you all a question from my situation. So I have described this before, that we should be under Yogmaya, meaning spiritual energy. So I have described this before, that a devotee at the temple is envious of me, and because this devotee is in sitting in position of power, he has actually taken away my services. So how do I tolerate? In the question itself, I am describing that we should be under Yogmaya, spiritual energy, and services are actually under Yogmaya, spiritual energy. But here my services are taken away. So I request all of you, please advise me. What do I do here? And we have discussed this in the earlier discussion when we were discussing verse number 16 in this chapter 1. Somebody please help me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I can just try, Prabhu.
Mhm.
So I think you just continue. If the services are taken away, what the other services, whatever you can do, just continue doing, Prabhu, keeping Krishna in the center.
Okay. Okay, very good. So before you all answer, I want you to go back to the conversation and your notes for verse number 16, where Vidura is insulted, and Vidura has no envy. And we had discussed that pure devotee is not impacted by the activities of external energy, and how Maya acted both internal and externally. So we had also done an homework for this. For this, I described that there are two situations. Either one is a foolish person, that whimsically this foolish person is ignoring the situation and trying to forget or tolerate. Guess what is going to happen in this first situation? Right now I may be forcefully tolerating myself, and it will come out in ugly forms at some point of time. And the second situation is that he is a pure devotee, therefore he is able to tolerate the criticism or whatever be the negative situation, because the other person is acting under the Mahamaya. Okay, so going back to my inquiry, so Shalini's point is correct. Okay, so continue to do whatever other services are possible. Okay, so help me. What do I do here?
If you are a pure devotee level, it will not affect you, number one. Number two, if necessary, you can discuss with the other devotee.
Okay.
What to do.
Okay, very good.
Which you are doing today.
Okay, very good. So I am definitely not a pure devotee. Okay, so somebody help me.
Prabhu, when the time, sorry.
Nitya, go ahead.
When the time is right, bring up the matter to a senior devotee. When the time and circumstances are right.
Yeah,
because
very
I think
good.
it is unfair that, I mean, just talking about the situation, and you did say, is that, you are doing services, you are doing something to please the Lord. and another person taking it away just doesn't seem fair, right? I mean, just talking about it's not. So I think when the circumstances are right, yes, of course, you're compassionate and you're not going to make a big deal, but you should take it up to the senior person because this is all to please the Lord. Why should you stop doing services because of another person?
So hold on, I had described that I did not talk about this for 5+ years. Plus Nitya's point to bring it up to others, the senior, what have we learned from Dharma in Canto 1, chapter 17 and 18? Dharma, when Dharma was asked, tell me who's the perpetrator, what has Dharma taught us? Dharma said, I don't know who's the perpetrator. Even when the perpetrator is standing right in front with a sword in the hand. I don't know who's the perpetrator. Why? Dharma is saying if I identify the perpetrator, then I become the perpetrator. And in this example I had described before that when time was right, that after 5+ years, I did bring it up to the senior when the senior himself asked me. I did not go with a sword and riding on a horse. When the senior himself asked me, no, please tell me. And that's when I said, what this signifies is that I am not a pure devotee. If I was a pure devotee, I would have not talked at all. But because I am trying to learn to tolerate, but still, so Nitya's question or Nitya's answer is not really helpful right now. How do I tolerate here? My services are taken away. I am supposed to be under spiritual energy and you are removing me from being under spiritual energy. And you are asking me to tolerate. Somebody help me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Gopal Krishna.
I think the best thing is to keep praying to Radharani to keep you in the service of the Lord, and when the opportunity again comes, He will take care of it.
Okay, very good point, and I'll come to Gopal Krishna's point. Okay, Radha Shakti wanted to speak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have seen here some devotees had the same thing what you are talking about, where very senior devotees, they were being removed from the services. And what I believe that, as you mentioned, this is just we learned about Vidura, how all the services were taken from Vidura and he left for self-realization. Similarly, I've seen here devotees too. They are now what they do, they are more into the chanting, chanting more number of rounds and doing spiritual studies, no interaction with some other people, very less interaction with others, but very, very getting deep into spirituality.
Okay, very good point. Okay, so again, focus on my own self. Prerna, last point, and then we'll move on.
Prabhuji, apply antiseptic.
Okay, Prerna wanted to say something. Okay, Prerna, audio is still trying to connect.
Prabhu, can I say?
Yes, can I go ahead, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prerna, go ahead.
Okay, what I basically, how I look at this situation is, could it be Lord Himself testing you because you are trying to learn, or you are in your journey of tolerance? Tolerance. Maybe this is a test from God Himself, and we have to. We have to have patience and wait for the situation to be resolved by God Himself, and then we can continue. So if you are trying to practice tolerance, and there is definitely going to be test, and maybe this is one.
Very good point. Very good point, Prerna. Right? So Chandan Prabhu, real last point, and then I will explain the solution here. Or you all provided good advice, and I will explain one additional point that Gopal Krishna Prabhu pointed out to specifically. Chandan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. A pure devotee will never try to identify the perpetrator.
Yeah, I am not a pure devotee, so give me advice for my level.
And we are trying to become pure devotee, and we should maintain the tolerance and should.
Trying to be pure devotee is very far away. Right now, I am contaminated. I am conditioned. Therefore, I have explained that preaching, don't speak philosophy randomly. You have to apply philosophy to my level. I am not a pure devotee. Period. So if you tell me that tolerate as a pure devotee, I gave you the two situations. Either one is foolish and whimsically, this foolish person is ignoring the criticism and trying to tolerate. Well, the result of such foolish ignorance will be that things will come out in an ugly form. And the other situation is that he's a pure devotee, therefore he is able to tolerate. So let me explain. So thank you all for your advice. That's a very good endeavor. Let me explain for what Gopal Krishna explained and what Prerna explained. Very good 2 points, and this is exactly what I did also. So we have to see Krishna's hand or Yog Maya's hand in helping me. So I already explained that how Vidura taught us to see Yog Mayas helping me. So how is Krishna helping me here? How is Yog Maya helping me here? By taking me out of my services. We discussed in the verse what we are discussing right now. One is to develop humility. So if I simply try to tolerate forcefully, then I am whimsical because I will continue to burn inside me. To tolerate, we need purification. Purification means replacing material with spiritual. So I used this situation of when my services are taken away because of this envious devotee sitting in position of power. I used this situation to improve my chanting. That while I am chanting, instead of letting my mind wander, I kept thinking of my services. That maybe my chanting is actually like a blank capsule. Therefore, I don't have services. It is not for other devotee to take or give me services. My chanting is like a blank capsule. Therefore, I don't have services. Why I have to focus on somebody else? Focus on my own self. Don't talk about others at all. Others are only an instrument by Krishna to purify me. Therefore, because my chanting is like a blank capsule, so I need to chant properly. And I have to beg, oh Srimati Radharani, oh Krishna, please engage me in my services, in your services. I need to hear my chanting more attentively. And simultaneously, I also remembered what gopis have taught us. The gopis have taught us the highest form of devotion and the very difficult form of devotion, which is devotion in separation, which is very difficult. So while chanting, I kept thinking about these scriptural points and my services instead of letting my mind wander. The mind will still wander and my mind still wandered. But at least I am trying to be conscious and trying to bring my mind back. This is what I did. Everybody, questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. For Shloka 41, you mentioned that Vidura did not ask for well-being. I missed the point. Why did not he ask for well-being of Dhritarashtra?
Because there was no question of well-being for Dhritarashtra because he was envious of Krishna's devotees.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yep. Everybody on the same page?
Prabhuji, probably it is Lord's decision that you should focus more on chanting is also a service instead of the service which was taken away from you. It was a God's sent desire that you should focus more on chanting and like a blank capsule, what you described.
Okay. Yes, very good. So always see Krishna's hand in how it is helping you, how Yog Maya is helping you. I am no way pure devotee. Forget pure devotee. I'm not even close, not even a pinch of even on the path of being a pure devotee. I am just trying to get out of my conditioning. Okay. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Just one realization, Prabhu. The situation that you shared, and it connected with a discussion we had in our Bhagavad Gita class about whenever we experience challenges, negativity, negative forces, we have to always remember this is Krishna's way of purifying us. We had discussed in one of our classes,
Yeah,
and that's what I remembered.
Yeah, very good remembrance. So just continuing on the discussion, that this is very important to remember that when we faced with such challenges with me, in our subconsciousness, we continue to have enmity, or do I cultivate the mood that the Lord is trying to teach me to become humble? So can I find a clue how to increase my meditation? And that's what I did. Otherwise, I have to understand that I am not advanced to be a Vaisnava. And this is an important yardstick to become a Vaishnava, because practice makes one perfect. And therefore, all the devotees from batch 3, I had said that this chapter 1 of Canto 3 is a lot of practice points. So how did Vidura take the ill treatment of Dhritarashtra is explained in the next verse, number 42. So before we go to number 42, Shivangi has a question. So if your question doesn't get answered from the chat, please raise your hand and ask the question, because I cannot follow everything on the screen and on the chat. So Shivangi is asking about the Kunti Maharani's question, that what did Kunti Maharani do when she went to the forest? She just focused on focusing on Krishna or doing meditation, because she was anyway towards the later part of her life. So she just focused on doing meditation on Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Shivangi will read verse number 42 translation.
Hare Krishna. I am not astonished at this, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others, but I know of his grace by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects.
So this is what Vidura is doing because of the ill treatment of Dhritarashtra. What is Vidura saying? And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Vidura was driven out of the palace. Still, Vidura is saying such an activity on the part of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana was actually not harmful for Vidura, but Dhritarashtra's act was actually beneficial for Vidura. This is what Vidura is saying in verse number 42. Vidura is saying that Vidura took this as a wonderful opportunity for himself. This Lord, who has appeared as a human, is conducting the chit. Chit means mind. The Lord is conducting the chit, the mind of these people like Dhritarashtra. That people like Dhritarashtra, their mind is also under Krishna's control. Therefore, Vidura could go to so many holy places. Because Dhritarashtra treated Vidura in a bad manner, hence Vidura was able to go to holy places. Vidura is saying that Vidura is not astonished. Hence, Vidura was able to travel to see the activities of the Lord. How Krishna behaving is very bewildering to others. We have discussed that this bewildering is one of the key quality of Krishna. We have discussed this in Canto 1, Chapter 8, the Kunti Maharani prayers, where Kunti Maharani describes about 10 qualities of Krishna. This bewildering is one of the key qualities. I'm pretty sure all of you have been bewildered at some point of time from Krishna's activities by Krishna. And in the purport, for verse number 42, Prabhupada makes an interesting comment, and it's a very, very deep purport. In essence of time, we will skip reading the purport. That in such situations, how a sadhu or Vaishnava should think is what we just discussed. That how Vidura is thinking, he has no ill treatment, ill behavior, ill thought process against Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. On the contrary, he is saying, this is actually wonderful for me. We have to learn to cultivate this mood, and slowly, Krishna will help us to elevate. If we cultivate, then we will come to the stage of Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi. So Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi is the first line in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse number 1. The first 3 verses are combined. And this is for sannyasis or pure devotees, you can say. So you can imagine this is the position of a Vaishnava. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just got one line from purport which I really liked. Can I please just read it out?
Yeah.
Vidura was not at all sorry to be bereft of his hearth and home, because he now had experienced that dependence on the mercy of the Lord is greater freedom than so-called freedom at home.
Yeah, very good. Very good point. Very good bringing it for everybody's benefit. Thank you. Okay. The last few verses is part 5, is verses 43 to 45. Title is Vidura's request to hear about Krishna. Verse number 43 is also very important, where 3 kinds of pride are described and why Krishna did not kill the Kauravas when Draupadi was dishonored. I will ask a question. Does anyone know why Krishna did not kill the Kauravas when Draupadi was dishonored? Anybody? Okay. Let's read and we will yeah,
May I try, Prabhu?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was it because Krishna knew that the Kauravas were going to be killed in the war, and that's what was in the larger plan of the universe? So he didn't disturb it, and he wanted enough Kauravas to make more have enough wrong karma to justify their deaths in the war.
Okay, very good. So at least one right point Prerna has brought up, and I will answer as we read. Mother Jija, if you want to read verse number 43 translation.
Verse 43. Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sins, and although he saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the dictation of 3 kinds of false pride. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so 3 kinds of pride are described: opulence, educated, and followers. That being proud of wealth, knowledge, and followers, all these kings were misbehaving. The military following them, hence military and all of these demoniac kings were burden on earth. So when Draupadi was being disrobed, Krishna could have killed, but Krishna was supplying the sari to Draupadi. So somebody may say, what kind of Lord is this? That Pandavas are going through so much trouble and Krishna did not do anything. Duryodhana even tried to capture Krishna. Why was Krishna tolerating all these offenses? The answer is what Prerna correctly pointed out. And Shivangi also correctly points out that this was another plan, that Lord's plan to get the Bhagavad Gita to all of us. that the answer is that Krishna has a bigger plan. First is to teach us do not gamble. And second is that Krishna wants the devotee to get all the fame. Plus, the third is Krishna wanted all of them to get assembled, and Krishna did a shortcut to kill all of them in one shot. From Srila Prabhupada's purport, we'll read in a few minutes. Krishna made a shortcut to assemble all these with demoniac mentality and kill them in one shot. When Duryodhan tried to capture Krishna, if Krishna had killed Duryodhan, probably Krishna would have killed Duryodhan and maybe few more who were trying to support him. But Krishna had a bigger plan to kill everyone in the Kurukshetra war. My internet connection seems to be broken and I may get disconnected, but I will continue to talk. Let's see, I may get connected to the phone if I get disconnected, which probably will get disconnected very soon.